Hello and welcome to the Mind Map. Today we're going to be going over Everything is Figureoutable by Marie Forleo. Now there's probably a lot of you here, and welcome to the channel, that are just big fans of Marie Forleo. This book's just coming out when I'm doing the review, and I want to thank you and welcome you to the channel. And for those of you that are on my channel who are not maybe Marie Forleo fans, or you don't necessarily know who Marie Forleo is, and you might be a little wary of getting into a book that is created by someone who is quote-unquote an influencer, I want to kind of dispel some of those beliefs for you by saying that this book is probably one of the most life-changing books that I have read since starting to read 3 books a week a couple of months ago. Everything is Figureoutable is one concept that is sure to change your life. I put this book up with the likes of The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins, Atomic Habits, Digital Minimalism. Those are some really great books in my opinion, and this book deserves to be in the company of those. With that, let's get into a quick introduction. As I said before, a lot of you are probably familiar with Marie Forleo, but for those of you who aren't, she was born and raised in New Jersey with little more than a passion and a laptop and a dream. She created a socially conscious digital empire that inspires millions. She was named a thought leader by Oprah, which is obviously one of the biggest people in the space of personal development. She's a star of the award-winning TV show Marie TV, and she has a podcast called the Marie Forleo Podcast. You can find more about her at marieforleo.com. Now, get into the introduction. Everything is Figureoutable. What an interesting word. I love that. I love people who create these new words to describe something that hasn't been described before. I love that. Okay, the first quote that I pulled from the book. Everything is Figureoutable will change your life. You can use it to solve mundane problems like a busted washing machine or a flat tire. You can use it to build a company, reshape your health, or create financial freedom. You can use it to save or to end a relationship, or create the most magnificent, passionate love story of your dreams. You can use it to find a way out of chronic stress, grief, anger, depression, addiction, anxiety, hopelessness, and debt. You can use it to invent a breakthrough technology, learn a new language, become a parent, or a stronger leader. And I assume that introduction probably covers quite a lot of us out there. She named a lot of things that this one thing can help you with. Continuing on, she says, most important, you can use this idea with others in your family, organization, team, industry, community, or the world to create a positive and significant change. Individually and collectively, we're confronted by events and circumstances that can no longer be ignored. Yet, there is no significant change in the world unless we first have the courage to change ourselves. In order to change ourselves, we must first believe that we can, and together we'll use this one simple belief: everything is Figureoutable, to activate our inherent ability to transform our lives, and by doing so, instigate meaningful change around us, which is exactly why this book is in your hands right now. We need you. We need your heart, your voice, your courage, your joy, your creativity, your compassion, your love, and your gifts, now more than ever. Now, that's quite a powerful introduction, similar to one that I gave the book, but I think what the points coming up next are going to show you is that it really is that important to kind of adopt this belief of figureoutability. And what I've done here is I pulled out some of the most important and actionable quotes from the book, and I give you my perspective on them. The 2 that are highlighted here in the same color as Marie's dress on the cover are what I think are the 2 most important points of the entire book, so stay tuned for those. Continuing on with our introduction, there are a lot of things in life that are going to take a little figuring out. As you can see by the quote above, she covers quite a lot of different things. Most of those things are difficult, and we weren't necessarily taught them in school. For sure, inventing a breakthrough technology you weren't taught in school. But nonetheless, we need to figure out how to do them if we want to live a full life and live up to our potential. I feel like Marie was inside my head when she wrote this book. I will be giving it to a lot of people, specifically through this YouTube channel, but also to a lot of my friends in a physical copy. Being an entrepreneur my entire life really changed my perspectives on problems. There are 2 types of people to me. Those who see a problem and stop because of it. A lot of people are like this, and if you're like this out there, I hope that this book reaches you and helps you change that belief and that way of operating. And those who see a problem and get excited to figure it out. Those people are the entrepreneurs, the creatives, and those people are very close to my heart. She's put such an important and impactful belief/concept into a beautifully written book and just one key phrase. I really recommend that you pick it up. Plus, leave her a review on Amazon. You guys don't know how much that helps the authors out there if you really enjoyed the book. Now, we're going to get into our first main point here, which is the Figureoutable origin. The quote from the book goes like this: "I stood there for a second, watching her work her magic. Finally, I asked, 'Hey Mom, how do you know how to do so many different things that you've never done before without anyone showing you how to do it?' She put down her screwdriver, turned to me, and said, 'Don't be silly, Ree. Nothing in life is that complicated. You can do whatever you set your mind to if you just roll up your sleeves, get in there, and do it. Everything is figureoutable.' I was transfixed, reveling in and repeating those words in my head. Everything is figureoutable. Everything is figureoutable. Holy shit, yes, everything is figureoutable. This phrase and philosophy took root in my soul. Since then, it's become the most powerful driving force in my life." She's obviously a very, very successful person that has kind of just tracked back where her success came from to this specific origin, the origin of MacGyver Mom. Amazing to hear the relationship that Marie had with her mother. It's really, really a much more complex story than is put here. I recommend that you go and check it out in the book, and she's also talked about it on her podcast as well. When we're young, we learn a lot of these types of maxims or lessons from our parents, and most often we don't even realize them. Obviously, our parents give some good wisdom and some bad, but this piece was seriously great. Think about how you handle problems. Are you the type of person who tries to figure it out, or are you the type of person that gives up? Maybe you just don't even try at all because you quote unquote don't know how to do that thing. And then think about the amazing resources that we now have available to us. Literally almost everything you could possibly need to do is already posted on the internet. Combine that with a solid belief in yourself and that everything is figureoutable, and what could you not accomplish is what that point should say. So I really think now is a completely different time than any other time. Almost everything is not only figureoutable, but almost everything is figured out, or at least in some part figured out on the internet, and someone shared it in a very cohesive and perhaps even free way. But also, I believe in the power of low-tech figureoutability. My grandfather, he doesn't really use the internet except to send funny jokes on email, like I'm sure a lot of your grandparents probably do as well. But he's a master of figureoutability. He was a mayor of our own local town, and he also really recently, he started working on this old car that would look more at home in a junkyard than in anyone's garage. Literally, this thing is completely rotted and completely rusted all the way through. In fact, the entire frame was completely rusted away. Almost everyone else would have probably given up on the project. But I went there first to see the car, and then only a couple of days ago, I went back, and he did such an amazing job. He ended up cutting out one piece at a time of the frame to make it bend. You know, normally I won't get too deep into this, but in big manufacturing places, they have tools that will bend the metal frames of your car, but he didn't have that. Instead, he had to figure out a different way to go about it. And to me, this is true figureoutability. No one had done this before, or at least no one that he had access to had done this before, but he spent his time figuring this out because, why? He believed that it was figureoutable. And I'm sure he probably doesn't know the word and might even laugh at the word if I told it to him, but he really is kind of the MacGyver grandfather that really, really fully encompasses everything that we're going to learn in this book of figureoutability. The next point we're going to talk about, again, I said, is one of the major points from the entire book about one belief. The quote goes like this: "When you can change a belief, you can change everything." Talked about that a lot on this channel already. Our beliefs either propel us to or prevent us from living our fullest potential. Our beliefs determine whether we fail or succeed and how we define success in the first place. Just imagine the decades of relentless belief, action, and determination required to give women in the U.S. the right to vote, or the unshakable belief that President John F. Kennedy and the team at NASA had in our ability to send humans into space and to walk on the moon. something a mere 100 years ago would have been seen as preposterous. Belief is where it all begins. It's the genesis of every remarkable discovery and leap forward humans have ever made, from science to sports to business to technology and the arts. The power that beliefs have over our lives simply cannot be overstated. And again, I really agree with this point because we've talked about this so many different times on this channel already through different books. Inside the book, there's some amazing study about how powerful beliefs really are that I actually hadn't seen before. One story tells about poison ivy, and essentially what they did is they took kids who had previously had a really bad reaction to poison ivy, they blindfolded them, and they did one of two things. One, they rubbed them with a different plant that wasn't poison ivy and told them it was poison ivy, and those kids actually broke out in poison ivy, essentially, this big kind of blistering rash, which is obviously unfortunate. And then the other people, what they did was they took poison ivy and told them that what they were rubbing them with was not poison ivy, and those kids didn't break out. So it's so important and so powerful that even our body's reactions to things are really kind of controlled by our beliefs. Another one talks about fake surgeries. Essentially what they did was they put the people that needed to have a knee surgery or hip surgery or whatever they needed, and essentially they just put them under anesthesia. They let them go to sleep, and then they let them wake up, and they made it so that it looked like they had the surgery. And a lot of the people, the belief that they had the surgery was so powerful that their pain actually went away. Pretty amazing. But the main point is that belief is really powerful. The belief that everything is figureoutable is at the core of this book. And she says in the book, all you need is one core meta-belief, a master key that unlocks every imaginable door in the castle of your consciousness. Wow, what a great sentence. It's like throwing a pitch that instantly illuminates a field of infinite potential. If you haven't yet guessed, the whole purpose of this book is to inspire you to adopt the supremely powerful belief that everything is figureoutable. Absolutely. Are you starting to believe yet? Here's an exercise to help. First, write down your most difficult problem right now, something that you're stuck on in business, in life, in a relationship, whatever it is. And then write down something that you've been avoiding because you don't know how to fix it, something simpler and less important. For example, for me, I'm writing a book on mind mapping right now, and that's the most difficult problem that I'm having is figuring out a great model to help you guys with creativity using mind maps. And that's difficult. I've been stuck on that for a couple of days now. What I decided to do was, hey, my car door has been acting up. I won't tell you the whole entire problem, but the car door has essentially been acting up. And I've just been kind of not fixing it. I'm leaving it and saying that it's fine. It's no big deal. So what I decided to do is go on YouTube, figure out how to fix the exact problem that my car door, my car type was having, and I ended up fixing it. And then what I did, obviously, I figured that thing out, figured the easy thing out, and then I come back with this renewed sense of belief that everything is figureoutable. And if I just sit down and figure out good creative models, I'll be able to bring you guys a great way to be creative using mind maps. So there we go. Try that little exercise on yourself. The next point we have here is can't versus won't. And the quote from the book says, let's start by looking at your language. And two common words that blur your ability to be honest with yourself. This is again about belief. Those two four-letter words are can't and won't. Think about how often people say some version of the following. I can't get up and work out every day. I can't find the time to get writing done. I can't forgive her for what she's done. I can't take that job. It's across the country. I can't ask for help. I can't ask for a promotion because I'm not good enough yet. I can't launch this project because my boss didn't approve, and etc. Here's the problem. 99% of the time, when we say we can't do something, can't is actually a euphemism, for won't. And what does won't mean? Won't just means that we're not willing. In other words, you don't really want to. And this again is all about belief, but turning your can't into won't and the power of a language. When was the last time that you said you couldn't do something? Maybe you couldn't make it to a party. Maybe you couldn't get something done. Maybe you couldn't fix something or figure it out. Was that really a can't or was it a won't? Often we use the word can't instead of won't, and can't protects our egos from having to look at our true priorities. And that's what I believe. If you say I can't go to a party, and it's not really true, instead of saying won't, essentially what you're doing is you're protecting your ego from your friend getting mad at you for not going to the party. And it really is just the same iteration of that over and over again in almost every scenario that you're using can't instead of won't. A quote from the book says this: "In my life, whenever I say I can't, most of the time what I really mean is I won't. I don't want to. I have no desire to make the sacrifice or put in the effort to get that particular result. It's not something I want badly enough or something I want to put ahead of my other priorities. Saying that you don't want something or don't want to put in the work or sacrifice to get it doesn't make you bad or lazy. It simply just makes you honest." And I completely am on board with this. I think that the more we can say won't instead of can't, the more honest that we can be with ourselves and with other people, the more powerful we are. So try this. Try the can't to won't challenge. Every time you catch yourself saying that you can't do something, switch it to a won't. And at first it's going to be hard, but it's going to keep you honest. At first you're not going to want to hurt people's feelings. At first you're not going to want to look at yourself honestly. But eventually, once you get this kind of radical honesty going on in your life, it's going to lead to a lot of benefit, both for you and for the people around you. Because if someone says, "Hey, I can't come to your party," you think, "Oh, okay, they're just busy." If they say, "I won't come to your party, I'm too busy for this," you know that that person has standards, a high level of standard. And that's the type of person that you want to surround yourself with. You don't want people that are just making excuses for why they can't do something. You want to have people that have clear priorities and are willing to follow them and willing to hurt some feelings along the way. The next point we have here is about 42%. And this is the second important point that I think that you should stay tuned for. And 42% comes from this oft-cited study done by Dr. Gail Matthews, a psychology professor at Dominican University of California. Shows that you're 42% more likely to achieve your goals when you write them down. Gail's sample group included men, women, ages 23 all the way to 72 from around the world in all walks of life. They were entrepreneurs, educators, healthcare professionals, artists, lawyers, and bankers. She divided the participants into two groups, those who wrote down their goals and those who didn't. The results were clear. Those who wrote down their goals achieved their desires at a significantly higher level than those who didn't. As basic as it seems, most people still don't write down what's important to them. If I was considering making a bet and you told me that if I wrote down that bet on paper, it would be 42% higher chance of winning, I'd do it. Of course, we all would. If I was undergoing some kind of medical protocol and my doctor said, "Hey, if you write this down, you'll increase your chances of healing by 42%, am I not going to listen to that? Who doesn't want those kinds of odds? Absolutely. It just seems so silly to not write down your goals. Even without this study, writing down what you want is sheer common sense. In our endless, distracted, overcommitted, overstretched world, writing down what's most important is a deceptively easy way to stay focused. Writing down our dreams forces you to be clear and specific about what you want. Ambiguity is the enemy of accomplishment. Now, obviously, you shouldn't write down your goal in a journal and just call it a day. You should look at it often. Daily is ideal, and this keeps your top priority top of mind. And this brings up another question, another radically honest question. Do you really want to achieve your goals? It's an interesting question, and most people would say yes, of course, which, of course, it isn't entirely untrue. But kind of like the can't versus won't point from above, they're lying about their true intentions. Instead of doing everything needed to achieve those goals, they feel good just for having them, not even written down, without the potential bad of not achieving them. Because once you write something down and you say you want to achieve it, your ego is vulnerable. Because if you don't accomplish it, then it's saying that, hey, I wasn't good enough, or I didn't try hard enough in order to accomplish this thing. And that makes your ego vulnerable. And I believe that's one of the reasons why people don't take advantage of this amazing 42% increase in likelihood of being able to accomplish your goals. And honestly, it's one of the first things that I do with my clients. After I get to know them a little bit about their personality, we actually create a mind map similar to this one using the OKR goal setting model. And it's, again, another thing that I'm going to be putting in my book. And it's very, very, very effective for setting a goal. This OKR system using mind maps so that we can visualize not only what the goal is, but what the key points are, what the key kind of objectives are, and then also we can brainstorm ideas about how we might go about it, and we can have it all visualized so that you can look at it every single day. And after that, it's something that we use consistently to keep them on track. When I'm checking in based on that mind map, what their goals were, what their key results were, what their brainstorming ideas they have come up with. Right now, I'm working on this book to share with you guys. And it's all about how I personally use mind maps with myself and my clients to set these OKR style goals, to even blow that 42% out of the water, to make not only writing down our goals 42% more effective, but to make writing down the goals 100%, 200%, 400% more likely for us to actually accomplish them. So keep an eye out for my book on mind mapping. Or you can sign up for a free coaching session down below. I'll buy you 45 minutes of my time, and we'll talk about literally anything that you want to talk about, including how you can get 42% more likelihood to accomplish your goal. Or I'll show you how to use my OKR method for setting your goals, which is apt to make you much, much more successful at setting goals. Now, with that out of the way, let's get into the final point. Don't stay safe. She says in the book, in the comfort zone, which is where most of us spend way too much time, life feels safe. Even if things are stressful, at least you feel secure in the fact that it's familiar. You're accustomed to the patterns, no matter how dysfunctional. It's the best that you know. But everything you dream of becoming, achieving, or figuring out exists in the growth zone, aka the discomfort zone. When you're in the growth zone, here's what's guaranteed. You will feel vulnerable and insecure, but in order to grow, you must let go, at least temporarily, of your need for comfort and security. You must train yourself to value growth and learning above all else. Quick side note, I did a mind map book on mindset by Carol Dweck. She talks about fixed mindset versus growth mindset, and it's one of the best books on the topic. In fact, it is the book on growth mindset versus fixed mindset, so I recommend that you check that out. The growth zone is where you'll gain new skills and capabilities. It's where you acquire your strength and expertise and produce new results. Hang in the growth zone long enough and sometimes something marvelous happens. That growth zone becomes your new comfort zone. Absolutely. I've found that through going through that mindset process that Carol Dweck lays out in her book, that at very start, it was very hard for me to constantly be in the growth zone, but it's getting easier and easier and easier to focus on growing, focus on where am I inadequate? What can I do about that? And those sort of things. All the things that once felt so terrifying no longer faze you. Your confidence increases, which strengthens your conviction to tackle the next set of challenges. You begin to expect and embrace uncertainty, vulnerability, and humility embedded in every learning experience. This cycle is fundamental to mastering the Figureoutable philosophy. Almost everything you need to make your dream a reality requires new skills, experiences, and understanding. You must do things you've never done before. Starting before you're ready isn't easy, but if you want to change, it's required. Start before you're ready. That's really what this is all about. This is one of the cornerstones of figureoutability, in my opinion. Once you've decided to do something and you believe you can figure it out, you simply have to start and get ready to be a little bit uncomfortable. Don't spend time gathering more information, just get in the trenches and try to create it and try to figure it out. Action bias is something that we talk about a lot on this channel, as well as growth mindset. Something that, just another call to action, to take action. Start before you're ready, or you'll always be behind. And I want to thank you for being with me in the mind map here today. I want to thank you for all the Marie Forleo fans that are out there that are on the channel, and I really appreciate you guys for stopping by, and I hope you check out a couple more mind maps on the way. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next one.